In the vast expanse between the stars and Earth, there lies a revolution of technology and human ingenuity. Welcome to Quantum Space Talks, where the boundaries of space innovation meet the future of humanity. Today, we're honored to feature a true pioneer in space technology, Cindy Chin, CEO and founder of Planetary Systems AI. As a NASA Datanaut and renowned AI innovator, Cindy is revolutionizing how we process and understand space data. Her groundbreaking work in optimizing planetary support operations has earned her recognition as one of Entrepreneur Magazine's 50 Most Daring Entrepreneurs. Join your host, Ada Guelfand, as we explore the future of space technology and unlock the mysteries that lie beyond our atmosphere. This is Quantum Space Talks by Acquora, Episode 1, From Stars to Earth, the Space Tech Revolution.
So this is a new episode of Quantum Space Talks, and today we are here with the amazing Cindy Chin. Cindy, thank you for being here with us today. It's a total pleasure to talk to you again.
Oh, thank you so much, Ada, for inviting me to join you today. I'm so excited. This is your very first inaugural podcast, so it's such an honor and a privilege for me. I'm very honored to be your first guest. So thank you for that.
Yes, the honor is us. So the first thing is we would like to explore a little bit more about your experience as a Datanaut. This is maybe something very new for our audience. So first, would you like to explain very shortly what a NASA Datanaut does?
Sure. The NASA Datanauts is an open innovation program that was out of the CIO's office initially at NASA headquarters, and then it moved to the Office of Science and Technology Policy, OSTP, I think it's called now. It was to promote open data and to promote data science amongst the space community in general. Back in 2016, they were noticing that there was a disparate number of more men and boys than girls and women that were in the International Space Apps Challenge, which is the largest hackathon on the planet that happens every October with NASA. And so what they did was they started this program initially to recruit more women. You go to NASA headquarters, got to meet the CIOs at the time. Lisa Diaz was the first CIO, then Renee Wynn, and then onward and onward. And, Katie Coleman is an astronaut and got to meet her several times there, and a bunch of really amazing women who some are data scientists and some are not. I am not a data scientist. So for me, the inspiration of doing this was because of my daughter, actually. She was learning how to code at school, and I thought I was inspired by her. And I thought, well, maybe it would be a good idea to understand what she's doing with coding, with data. And so I actually reached out to NASA on that day, and I said, I was trying to arrange for healthcare, or not healthcare, excuse me, childcare during that day for pickup and whatnot. And they said, why don't you just bring her along? So she came along, and she is the youngest, I guess, that was inoculated into the Datanauts back then. And as the years went in 2016, so I was in the second class, and as the years went, obviously, they moved the gap closer, and they introduced more men as well to even out the numbers. And there are over 272, I believe, Datanauts around the world, from not just the United States, but also Pakistan and Ukraine and Europe. I'm not sure if there were any in Asia, but there were quite a number. And so that's the Datanauts program. And NASA at the time released 32,000 data sets that's available for the public to use and to build applications on. So it was a very exciting time with actually good roots in origins and in the space. And so I have that title actually for, I guess they're like, NASA tells me, you have that title, you're a Datanaut, aren't you? And I'm like, I guess I am.
That's amazing. And you're not just a NASA Datanaut, you're also an entrepreneur, and you have founded Planetary Systems AI. So as both a NASA Datanaut and the founder of Planetary Systems AI, You have a unique perspective on space and on space technology transfer. So could you share some examples of how space-derived technologies and methodologies are revolutionizing Earth-based industries, particularly in areas like resource management and sustainability?
Sure. In terms of resource management, a lot of behind the scenes and the data, especially with space data, is ontology based. So you can actually query against them if the data has been normalized or processed. What that means is, if those who aren't familiar with data, sometimes like even a few decimal points off on the code or something like that won't necessarily always work and process through in an algorithm. And so, a lot of developers and engineers have to go and debug code, et cetera. So you want to make systems interoperable, which is what we're trying to do with Planetary, and to make, data queryable and accessible so that we can build applications off of it and others can too, as well in the industry. And so how with resource management and sustainability, you're obviously collecting a lot of Earth observation data that's out there, especially water management, traffic, forest fires. It's, weather is a big one as well. And when you're looking at the data itself, there's just massive amounts of terabytes that have been collected and just sitting there, and we can't find any insights from them. And so it's very important to understand that and then find that there are good applications for it. There's companies like big ones like Maxar and Planet that have incredible resources, and then you have the companies out there that are a little younger and newer, like Leo Labs, who's also a Seraphim company as well. Both our companies are Seraphim accelerator companies that are out there solving these challenges. And when you think about what happened in the United States with Los Angeles at the beginning of this year, having that information critically in a very timely fashion really helps make some of the decisions when you are seeing like 100-mile gusts of wind, that are going, et cetera. The same thing with water management. I'm not going to talk about that because that's your area and you're the expert. So I don't want to.
No, but I would love to get to know about your opinion and about which are the challenges that you see that we are facing for embracing these technologies and the advantages that we could get by getting them.
I think, the challenges are, collecting and processing and interpreting them from a variety of different sensors. We do data fusion, so that really helps with understanding and creating specific models within and knowledge within a specific domain to ensure that it's structured and understood consistently. And from there, then the machine learning models can be trained to recognize the patterns and predict the outcomes and ultimately, optimize and process these. Some of the challenges are also like, a lot of sometimes it's proprietary and the industry is a little bit hesitant in sharing some of that data or the insights. And it is, if you, understand all the way from launch operations to satellite operations, you'll see the criticism of the lack of interoperability in that. And that means like data sharing so that there is a standardization in that. And so with any industry, it happened in computer graphics, it happened in computing, and happened with word, documents, and also with AI, that standardization. We're seeing that occur right now with generative AI, and there's a big, it's in the news all the time in the media. The same thing is also for space, and that hasn't been tackled yet, but we're seeing that come along. We're seeing it, Aaron, my co-founder, and I are seeing it happening in the media industry right now. It's ongoing. And so this is a very long cycle thing to do. But when it does, and you unleash industries and you unleash companies like NVIDIA, and look at it, it's $1 trillion company now, and they started because of gaming allowed the standardization in those formats, right, and whatnot. So we expect, and we're expecting the same thing to happen in space as well.
Yeah, this is very interesting because this solution in Planetary Systems AI came directly from your direct experience on the needs and the seek for solutions on this. So it's funny.
Absolutely. And can I give an example of how that
Of
is?
course, please.
So as a NASA Datanaut, I was also invited to be an ambassador for the International Space Apps Challenge. And also I was a judge for a number of years as well. And from looking at the teams and mentoring some of them as well, I could see the difficulty for them in sourcing just the data itself. Sometimes you have given experience, because there's a range of experiences. There's high school students all the way to very sophisticated individuals who have built companies before, and software engineers, etc. What happens is that looking for data, it could be something like a YouTube video, right? And they will source that because NASA put it on there for learning, or it could be Earth observation data from the Sentinel-2 or the Sentinel satellites and the Copernicus constellations over at the European Space Agency, or something from the Japanese Space Agency. So there's like and then you have subject matter experts that are available to you from across 11 different space agencies or more that are giving information. And so like, what do you do with text-based? What do you do with a verbal? What do you do with images? What do you do with lines of code, or identify satellite IDs, etc. So it's very complicated, and it's very difficult to understand. And in a weekend, a hackathon happens in a weekend, right? So you're expected to build an application from 11 different challenges, like water resources, or how do you do to mitigate like disaster responses, and even like they had a COVID challenge, right? So during the pandemic. So from that perspective, I saw how difficult it was, not just to gather that data, but then also, like I said, to process it into a format that an algorithm can be written, or even even a design, wireframe, even just for a proof of concept, or for an idea, and then pitch it to a bunch of people who are subject matter experts to win a slot as a finalist for NASA. And so it's very daunting, but I'll tell you, it's some of the brightest minds on the planet who are up for the challenge, and they have, over 60,000 people sign up on an annual basis in over 192 countries,
Wow.
which is really phenomenal. It's just, that's how much space is so prevalent around the world, and we all live in our own little bubbles. And we're founders, we're definitely living in our own bubbles and realities, right, and whatnot. But to see that at that global level, and then at that scale, I identified that the problem is quite large, and it's not as unique as you think. It's pretty universal, literally.
Oh, yes, there is a pool of opportunities. And do you remember some example or some applications that really called your attention on how to use all of these space technologies in favor of some social solution?
Absolutely. There have been wonderful ideas on the gaming side too. There's some people who know how to code gaming. They could do VR visualizations, and VR is just a precursor to digital twins, right? And from the manufacturing side, if you have more experience in engineering, resources to be able to do that. So those kind of situations are very clever. I've seen those ideas. I've also seen ideas where communication is very important for activism, and especially when it's setting policy for some of these issues, which is important. Then you have which includes some of the storytelling element. And then you also have people who actually do have real technologies that are seeing it. I've seen a handful, mind you. I can't see all 55,000 plus, right? I wish I could, because then I'm sure there'll be a lot. There's a lot that are not quite ready ideas, not like where you and I and our cohort members are up there pitching to investors and to the industry, that's ready for that. But there you can see the beginnings of it, and then they put in a demo / prototype video onto, publicly on there, and it's like amazing to see the excitement and the energy and the outputs of it. And then my favorite thing is just seeing high school students get up there and just I've just been impressed. Just, some high school students just really impressed by their energy and their proactiveness. They reach out, they want to connect. It just, I don't think I was that put together when I was
Yeah, definitely we need to promote this to use these technologies from early stages, not just after graduating from college.
And you just know, like, they're going to build something, and their first company is probably age 14, and they'll go on and be millionaires by the time they're like 27.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, space technologies have so much to say, and we have so much to do with them. And just for a bit of creative exploration today, if you could be any element or phenomenon in space, what would you be and why? We'd love to hear your creative take on this.
I just love this question. It's so easy for me. I would be a nebula.
Wow,
I
a
would just be
nebula, why?
Yeah, because it's the birthplace of stars, and whatnot. And I feel like, Carl Sagan said we're made out of star stuff. You and I are both moms. We've talked about our children before, and it's just like the birthplace of ideas. That's exactly what entrepreneurs are and founders are. The birthplace of children, birthplace of stars. It just positivity and just the clusters. I mean, granted, they're like exploding gases. Very deadly.
Right.
And whatnot. But like creatively speaking, and as well as kind of an embodiment of who I am or who I like to be as a person, I think a nebula would be my answer.
Now I understand why. Yeah, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
It has been lovely to talk to you today. I love your answers and this conversation. Yeah, so thank you very much for being our first guest, and let's keep in touch.
Will do. Thank you so much, Ada. It was so good to see you. And good luck with the podcast.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, follow Acquora Space for updates on our next discussions and behind-the-scenes insights from the space tech frontier.